So the Browns got that ass waxed by the 49ers 26-8. And I want to talk about the game, but I also want to talk about Shedeur Sanders and Jerry Jeudy and what took place in their sideline, whatever the hell that was. Let's talk about it. What's going on, everybody? My name is Dan Augustin. This is Multi-AF. I'm going to make this quick. Here, let me do this. Let's start off just looking at the stats, and then I'm going to connect this to the conversation they were having. I'm going to show the clip, but let's just look at the stats first. Fannin was the leading receiver with 3 catches for 43 yards. He had the touchdown catch. Jerry Jeudy had 3 catches, 26 yards. 0 touchdowns. Fannin had 5 targets. Jeudy had 4. Yeah, if you ask me, in the NFL in particular, and on a team like the Cleveland Browns, you're going to target your tight end more because you're going to be trying to look for that hot route. In this game in particular, I felt like Shedeur went backwards with his development. And what he did against the Raiders, first of all, it was the Raiders. And I didn't want to come off in my analysis and my reaction to that game. I actually didn't even make a video. I wanted to wait. I was proud of him, though. I was happy for him. And people who watch my videos, a lot of people think I dislike him. I dislike how he managed this process with the draft process. I felt like he was very unprofessional. And what I've wanted for him and what I feel like he's needed most, I feel like he's getting. I felt like he did need a humbling experience. Even Patrick Mahomes doesn't behave like that. Tom Brady doesn't behave like that, and he wants to be like Tom Brady. So it's just not going to work. Anybody can say what they want to say. In my comments, you could say what you want to say to me. You could think what you want to think. It's not going to work. You can't have that much ego in the NFL. Only a corner or a wide receiver can genuinely get away with that kind of ego. That's the only way it works. That's that period, point blank. The quarterback is held to too high a standard. They don't bring the cornerback up to talk to the cornerback with the media every single day. They don't. But they talk to the quarterback because the quarterback automatically, in Shedeur's case here, has 25 opportunities to throw the ball down the field. Let's look at how many times the Browns ran the ball. 31 carries, if I'm not mistaken. Off the top of my head, 31 carries, along with Shedeur's 25 attempts. So we're looking at, where's my math? We're looking at 56, right? 56 plays they got to run. Dillon Gabriel also got 1 play. That's 57 plays the Cleveland Browns ran. All right. Jerry Jeudy. First of all, you don't need to come at the quarterback like that ever. Not never. On the sideline, not at practice. There doesn't need to be that kind of energy. So for Jeudy to have that kind of energy, the game had just started, mind you. This was the first drive of the game. Okay? Let's pull up this clip right quick. Let me just get the timestamp before I play it. This was the first drive of the game. Not even 5 minutes had gone off the clock yet. It was 10 minutes and 50 seconds left in the first quarter. It was a 3rd and 5. And I'm pretty sure this is why they had that spat. I'm going to play it real quick while I talk about it, and then I'll get back to what I was saying. Now, we got trips, bunch right, and then ultimately what ends up happening on this play, we see that Shedeur attempted to hit Jeudy deep, but the play wasn't built for that. It was a 3rd and 5, and the Browns needed a first down. People can say whatever they want to say about Dillon Gabriel, but there is something to say about somebody who can get the first down, who can keep the team on the field, who can get that short play. Shedeur wants to be like Tom Brady. He's going to have to go back and watch that film. Tom Brady dinked and dunked like nobody else. The only time he wasn't really like that was when he had Randy Moss, and that's because he had a trusted guy. Here's the deal. On this play, Jeudy ran a slant route. The 49ers were in a zone coverage. And so Jeudy was expecting the ball right there in that slot. And that's where Shedeur should have given the ball. Shedeur held the ball in this game longer than any other Browns quarterback tends to. I was just watching Marcellus Wiley's show, and he reported on it. He said Shedeur was holding on to the ball for 3.7 seconds. That was the average. You can't do that in the NFL. And that's why he got sacked 3 times in this game. That's why he got sacked and put his team in situations where, he hurt them in this game. Not as bad as, say, what he did in that Rams game, but, he regressed. And I think his teammates could see it. I think his teammates had a little bit of hope. And in some weird way, I think Jeudy is oddly trying to help Shedeur, because sometimes you can't help yourself because you're not helping yourself. You need to do the things that would help you help yourself. Like what I was seeing in him in the game against the Raiders when he threw that pass out to Dylan Sampson and Sampson scored. People are talking about that play saying Shedeur didn't do anything. He happened to get a touchdown. I disagree. I think that he saw the pressure and he knew where his hot route was and he gave it to the hot route right away. And when you do that, good things happen, because this is a game of inches. You mess around and wait too long, that gave the defense a time to close that window, and it gave them a chance to keep me from getting in the end zone or making a play. You get it to me on time, though, now my speed can really start to show, because I got those guys beat by the extra inch that I need, and now they can't tackle me. Now they're trying to shoestring tackle me. Okay, so now this play in particular. Here's what's been struggling with quarterback play since he got into the NFL. I got Russell Wilson over here. Then you come to the Cleveland Browns. You got Dylan Gabriel. You got Shedeur Sanders. And it's not to say Shedeur Sanders can't play this position. I believe he can. We've seen him do it in Colorado. We know he can. But listen to what he says in this postgame. And then we're going to go look at the spat real quick. And I'm going to tell you what I think about the spat in particular. But listen to what he says here.
It's going to take time to be able to develop that chemistry with everybody, to be on the same page with Jerry, Of course, you want to be able to get him the ball, but you got to understand it take time. I'm more of a trust person, and that's just what it boiled down to. So we had to spend time on task and with all those guys.
I'm more of a trust person. See, that's what he had with Travis Hunter. He could trust that Travis was going to find the hole, and he could trust that that's where he can go with the ball. There's a reason why this young man never threw that many interceptions in college. There's a reason why his stats were what they were. There's a reason why his completion percentage was what it was. It's because he liked to hold on to the ball, to see it first, and then to throw it. But when he can trust the wide receiver, now he can start to play a little bit more of the anticipation game. And he can start to be a bit more like, okay, you're not even open yet, but I know what you're about to do because we have that rapport. He doesn't have that rapport with Jeudy, and it's showing. Now, here's my main take. And I'm going to pull up the spat while I talk about this. I need that music there. Here's my main thing. Judy's doing too much. For Jeudy to be doing this, it's one or two things. One, he's trying very hard to help this young man because he's trying to help himself as well. He's trying to be the wide receiver, the true wide receiver number one that he believes he could be. I don't know why the Cleveland Browns got him as a wide receiver one. He's not that. He's really not. You're not that guy, pal.
Come here. You're not that guy, pal.
He's not that, but I think he's trying to be that. That's one of the scenarios here is if I help this guy, he's going to be force-feeding me the ball, so I need to help him. So maybe he's overtly, just overly doing too much, trying to make that happen. Or two, Jerry Jeudy is gambling. And he bet on himself, and he bet the over. And he's trying to make that shit happen immediately. Maybe he even gambled and said, I'm going to have 30 yards in the first quarter. And that's why he's this mad. Because that doesn't even make sense. It doesn't even make sense to be that fucking mad. I ain't never seen him come for Russell Wilson like that. I never seen him talk to Joe Flacco like that. I never seen him talk to Dylan Gabriel like that. And maybe he did in practice. Guys be scuffling in practice. Guys fight in the locker room. Guys fight on the field. So maybe, just maybe. But out of nowhere, you come for this dynasty kid, this guy who it's unbelievable that Jerry Jeudy would come for him like this. It's out of pocket. And I just want to say, when it comes to the Cleveland Browns in particular, this is clearly the worst organization in all of sports. I wouldn't be surprised, honestly, if maybe they're the worst organization in sports in general. Not just I'm not just talking like football. sports. When it comes down to why I would say that, I see an organization that knows how to draft players, but doesn't necessarily know how to build a team. They found Schlesinger from UCLA. I might have said his name wrong. Also, Harold Fannin Jr. I was a huge fan of his coming out of Bowling Green, but it's Bowling Green. He's not the biggest tight end. He ain't no Tyler Warren size-wise, so I could see how a lot of people were going to overlook him. I remember looking up where he was going to go, where he was at on mock drafts, and people were saying 4th round, and I'm like, what are you talking about? This man is a record-breaking tight end at Bowling Green. I understand it's Bowling Green, but when you see his skill set, and you're starting to see a little bit of it in the league, but you're not seeing the half of it. He's like an Antonio Gates, and just he's just a little bit shorter, but he's very skilled, right? And so the Browns know how to draft, but they don't know how to build a team. You have Baker Mayfield, you had Tim Couch, you got fill in blank here, and they're constantly top 5 in the draft. When are we going to get to a time where the Browns are picking in the middle of the draft or at the end of the draft because they went to the playoffs? They clearly do not know how to run an organization. This is the same organization that could have very well had Travis Hunter and Shedeur Sanders. They could have had those two guys. Those two guys could have picked up right where they left off. And Shedeur would have had his number 1 wide receiver from college. And that kind of scenario, there would be no problem there. But instead, the Browns didn't draft a wide receiver. Instead, they got Isaiah Bond out of Texas, who came over as an undrafted free agent. Larvidan, who fucked up with the field position, came over as an undrafted free agent. The Browns had an opportunity to win this game or to at least make it a game. It was only like 17-8. And they could have at least closed the gap on that. But, once you fall behind and Shedeur's a big game hunter, he's not really the kind of guy who's really looking to dink and dunk. He wants the 20-yard to 40-yard plays. He wants that. That's what he has always been about at Colorado. Yes, his short stuff is the swing passes and all that, the bubble screens and all that. But the play calling in this game was so conservative. And I know when I read those stats just now, there was only about 31 carries to Shedeur's 25 throws. But this wasn't a game that they were going to win on the ground. This was a game where they were going to have to get their wide receivers involved. Hell, the only touchdown they scored was from a Shedeur Sanders pass to Harold Fannin. They just don't know how to coach these guys up, though. I don't know what the fuck they're looking at on the sideline. I don't see the coach on the sideline, and I'm not talking about Stefanski, so prime sexuals relax. I'm talking about the quarterback coach on the sideline talking to the quarterback, and then you can see that being a part of the game plan when the quarterback goes back out there. But instead, even when the Browns fell behind and they were losing like 17-8, 26-8, even then, they came out there on the next possession. I think there was only like 8-10 minutes left in the game. On the next possession, or 6 minutes left in the game, the clock was winding down. There was basically no more time left in the game. And on the next possession, they go out there, and the first thing they do is run the ball twice with Quinshon Judkins. Listen, the Quinshon is nice with it, but it's time to throw the fucking ball. And so, because of the fact that this organization is so terrible, I wholeheartedly believe that they're not a good place for this young man to develop. But I do think it's a good place for him to be humbled and to learn more about what the politics are going to be like in the NFL, the competition is going to be like in the NFL, because, like I said in my other video, he ain't never had to compete with nobody. His dad came in at Jackson State, gave him the job right away as a freshman. His dad came in at Colorado, gave him the job right away. That's not good for you. I'm just keeping it a buck. That's nice that for your stats and for your opportunity to play and for being on the field, but it fucks you up mentally. It makes you think that you deserve this, that you're going to get to do this, and if you don't get to do it, now I can throw you off and have you doing crazy stuff in interviews because you just see yourself as better than everybody else. I do think Shedeur is better than J.J. McCarthy, though. 1,000%. I think he's better than J.J. McCarthy. But I think Shedeur's weaknesses can absolutely make him just like J.J. McCarthy. Shedeur, I know you're not watching this, but you all right, bro. You're doing good. I think he's doing very well. I think he's doing a lot better. He's managing himself a lot better in the interviews, the way he's answering questions. There's still some things that could be better, but he's doing a lot better. I can see that this young man has matured. I'm rooting for him because what I felt like I needed to see, it's already taken place. He's already on the path to becoming a more mature professional. What I'm going to say is this, though. You got to get the ball out on time. You got to find a way to deal with the blitz. You don't have any room for any regression right now. You do not want to get pulled and let Dylan get back in there, because if that happens, it's just not going to be a good look for you as it pertains to the next team that you might be able to get on. And then as far as the next team that you might be able to get on, if I'm Shedeur, I'm trying to get a real agent. You can't be your dad, because these GMs don't want to talk to your dad. They don't want to deal with your dad. He needs to get his agent on the phone, and he needs to try to get over to Minnesota. You can't just go to any old random team and just play quarterback. Shedeur Sanders is not comfortable doing that. When he went to Colorado and Jackson State, he had Travis Hunter. That's a cheat code. And in Colorado, four of those receivers went to the NFL. And the year before, Xavier Weaver also went to the NFL. So he had wide receivers around him that could really tear up the Big 12 competition. And sure enough, when he was going into the league, who was he trying to get drafted to? He was trying to get drafted to the New York Giants because he wanted to play with Malik Neighbors. I don't know if you know this, but when he was playing in high school, he also tried to get Malik Neighbors to play on that team, because every quarterback knows if I got a dog at wide receiver, that just changes the whole scope of everything, because that means I got a clear go-to wide receiver, and then everything else can fall where it's supposed to fall. But when you're on a team that doesn't have that, the Browns do not have no real number one wide receiver. Jerry Jeudy, in all honesty, Jerry Jeudy's a 3. He ain't no 1. He ain't no 2. He's a 3. He's a good-ass 3. If Jerry Jeudy's your third wide receiver, you're in a good spot. But he's number one wide receiver on the Browns. And like I just said, they got Larvin, who's an undrafted free agent. Isaiah Bond, undrafted free agent. Doesn't mean they're not nice with it, but it means they're undrafted. Why did they go undrafted? Where is your real number one wide receiver? This is the same team that could have had Travis Hunter, and I wholeheartedly believe if Travis Hunter was on the Browns, he'd have been playing more wide receiver, because it would have been the same thing as what they were doing in Colorado. Plus, they have a very good defense, so they don't need him to be dominant on that side of the ball. But I understand the Browns did get draft picks, and they're going to try to flip those draft picks. Hopefully, they get a wide receiver. I do think Shedeur can play quarterback for this team, but we got to finish seeing him for the rest of these games. Hopefully he gets to play for the rest of these games. The way he's playing sometimes, it looks like he's not going to get that opportunity, but we will see. Ultimately, when it comes down to this spat, what Jeudy did in this instance is absolutely wrong. You can't do that on the sideline. You can't talk to your quarterback like that. You don't even got that kind of rapport to be talking to your quarterback like that. This ain't no Terrell Owens and Donovan McNabb where they done already tore the league up and already have expectations with each other and for the game. No, Jerry Jeudy, you ain't balled yet on no team that you've been on, and maybe that's making you anxious, or maybe you're gambling. Because that's the behavior he had, how anxious he was. It looked like he got something else going on. It looked like he got something on this game, as opposed to just I'd never seen him act like that. What game have you ever seen Jerry Jeudy be the vocal leader or a vocal communicator? Never. And out of nowhere, that's how you talking? That's how you behaving? If anything, you ask me, the Cleveland Browns need to get rid of Jerry Jeudy, and they either need to get some wide receivers in there to support Shedeur Sanders and a new head coach or a new offensive coordinator, more specifically, who can be a bit more aggressive with the offensive play call. I think Shedeur needs more reps, more opportunities to throw the ball down the field. That's the kind of quarterback he is. He's not used to having to run it back and just handing the ball off all the damn time, which is good. He needs that. But I think he more so needs to be on a team that, sometimes, we're going to run the ball a lot because that's what we need to do to win. But sometimes we're going to throw that bitch about 35 times because that's what we need to do to win. And he needs to be on that kind of team. I really think he would succeed on a team like the Minnesota Vikings. Never, ever, ever have they had this kind of opening and opportunity for somebody to get in there and play quarterback. And so that's why they're the main team that I'm mentioning, because he'd actually get a chance to potentially compete for the starting job, as opposed to some of the other spots that I've said that I think he'd be good at. But got to clean this up fast. He ends this season off by getting benched for Dylan again. People are going to say that we haven't seen enough of him, and when we have, he's getting sacked, he's throwing interceptions, he's holding on to the ball too long. Sure, he's got a couple touchdowns, but don't know that we need the upside of this guy for everything else that we saw come along with this guy. That's all I got on this one, though. I could talk about this a bit more and, just keep diving in deeper and deeper, but ultimately I just wanted to touch the topic for a tad bit, because Jeudy you can't do that. And I do like the fact that Shedeur defended himself. I love the fact that the offensive lineman came over there and was like, bro, we can't do this. You know what I'm saying? Somebody on that team got to step up and be a leader. And it doesn't seem like anybody is. It doesn't seem like it's the coach. It doesn't seem like they got the players who are leaders. That team is just, they're awful. That team is so awful. And it's hard to watch, Until the Browns get a number one wide receiver over there, though. I mean, a number one. And he's got to be the kind of guy who's not going to really be chirping all the damn time. Shedeur can handle a little bit of chirping. Travis used to come at him too. But him and Travis were boys, though. Played with each other for a long time. Had that rapport to where I can bark at you a little bit. But Jeudy, who is you? Who is Jeudy? Who are you? You have no proof of what you can do in the NFL. And now you're coming at me while I'm trying to figure my shit out. Shedeur ain't even been in the league long enough to get yelled at. What are we doing here? Come on, man. All right, y'all, that's all I got on this. If you got something to say, if you got an opinion on this, or if you disagree with me, or if you do agree with me, let me know in the comments. Really appreciate you for watching the video. Would have really appreciated if you subscribe, because I could use the algorithm support, because YouTube has been suppressing my efforts. I'm just kidding. I don't know if they're suppressing me, but, it feel like it sometime. But no, it's all good. Anyways, got to this part of the video. I appreciate you. And like I said, we'll appreciate you 10 times more if you decided to subscribe. Peace.